Hi everyone, I'm Taylor and welcome to the Tribe Life's 30 Days of Yoga Challenge. Today is day one and I am so excited to have you here. For day one, first just give yourself a little pat on the back, right? The hardest part is showing up. The hardest part is carving out a time or committing to something and saying, I'm going to do this for me. So if you're here with me right now, congratulations, that's a big step. And especially with starting a fresh year, 2017, everyone always says new year, new you. It doesn't have to be new you. Why don't we just work on improving what we've got, right? So we'll work to increase our flexibility. We'll work to increase our mental flexibility as well. And as we move, we're working to create some space inside of us that leaves room for some new changes, new perspectives, new opportunities. It's going to be a great year. It's going to be a great challenge. And for day one, we're just easing into things. So especially week one in general, for those who are brand new to yoga, this is perfect for you. We're going to dive into some of the basic poses that you'll experience in a normal, a standard yoga class at any studio, and also my style. So you'll learn, I'll have some modifications, some other things, calling out alignment, so you make sure that you're standing correctly or you're bending your knee correctly, that kind of thing. And for those who are experienced yogis, this is great because it'll help you slow down in your poses, really focusing on your alignment, and maybe you learn something that you didn't know before. We got something for everyone, so when you're ready, you can roll out your mat and we will begin day one. For day one, we're going to start in a nice, comfortable seated position. So I know sitting in a seated position might not be comfortable for people. So a few suggestions. You can prop up your seat with a blanket, a towel, even a pillow. If you have a bolster at home, you can do that as well. That's one option. I like to just prop it up a little bit with my hips, especially if I'm feeling a little stiff there in the morning or in the evening, whenever you're practicing with me. And then we'll sit nice and tall. So as we start to slow down and arrive on our mat, you can sit tall with your heart over your hips and your head over your heart over your hips. So everything is in line. Maybe just rolling the shoulders back and down, allowing them to melt down your spine. And you can place your palms either face down on your knees and thighs as a gesture of grounding, looking for grounding in today's class. Or you can flip them up as a sign of receiving. I like to think of this as receiving clarity or creativity, clarity into something maybe you're working through right now, something that you're hoping to get clarity on. So choosing which one feels good for you, and then just close your eyes here as we start to tune in to our bodies, just being present here on our mats. So as we sit here, I invite you to tune into your breath. Noticing the quality of the breath. Noticing if you're taking deep breaths or shallow breaths. Also noticing the temperature of the breath as you inhale through your nose and you feel the breath along your nostril, in your nasal passage, and in the back of your throat, just tuning into your breath. Taking a few breaths as you inhale through your nose, exhale out your mouth. Inhale through your nose, exhale out your mouth. One more time, inhale through your nose, exhale out your mouth. And just continue to breathe, maybe sealing your lips and inhaling and exhaling through your nose or pursed lips. I like to take a moment at the beginning of every practice, and you'll find this throughout the challenge, to allow ourselves some time and some space to connect our mind, our body, and our breath. So oftentimes we find ourselves, I find myself physically in places, doing things, and I might notice my mind is somewhere else. Or maybe you don't even notice it's somewhere else. So first, it's just giving ourselves a moment to recognize where we are, and mentally arriving here as well. And then without breath, without awareness of the breath, there is no yoga, right? We're just stretching. And I'll get more into that later, but it's always important, and you'll hear me referencing breath, and you'll hear my breath in the classes, and I leave that in intentionally. I want to help encourage you, remind you to breathe through the poses, just like in life, when things are happening, just always remembering to breathe and tune in with yourself. So continuing to breathe, and as we breathe, I invite you to now check into your body and just taking a mental scan of any tension, any injuries, any pain points, anything that's calling out to you right now, any particular body part that is kind of waving its hand at you like, hey, I'm right here. So just taking a body scan, and then also mentally noticing if you have any thought on repeat up there, anything that's not serving you right now, something you don't need right now to do this class today, right? And so you'll hear a different couple of examples that I give for this, but I like to think of it in a few ways. One, kind of like if we were sitting at breakfast together and you had a whole plate in front of you, and if you could physically take a thought out, something that's not serving you, and placing it on your plate, and you keep doing that until you've removed everything that's not serving you, not helping you right now, and then you get up and walk away from the table, kind of like this right now. So trying to place those thoughts out of your head, off your mat, in front of you, somewhere else. It will be there after class, I promise, if you need it. A simple practice of letting go. And then lastly, I invite you to set your intention for class. So setting your intention is a point of focus, kind of like a goal, but a point of focus to help us rein in our monkey brain, as it's called, when it jumps around from thought to thought. Something that you can mentally pull your focus towards. So two that I really like, one is just let go. And I'll repeat this to myself during class as I breathe, as I inhale saying let, and exhale saying go. And then the second one that I like is a reminder to breathe. And I say inhale and exhale as I breathe. So it's a mental reminder to tune my attention, pull my attention to my breath and nothing else. So we'll take a few more breaths here in silence, relaxing the space between your eyebrows. And then you can slowly open your eyes and we'll begin class. So you can start by just rolling your head clockwise and counterclockwise as we loosen up the neck. one time as we roll the shoulders up towards our ears, squeezing them, lifting, and then melting them down the spine. And then placing the right hand outside your right hip. Inhale, lift that left arm up to the sky. And then exhale, leaning slightly over to your right, feeling that stretch on the left side body here. And then, as if you were moving through honey, something very thick and sticky, you roll forward. And as we're rolling forward, noticing every new muscle we're engaging, new body muscle or part that we're stretching, and very slow, or almost moving obnoxiously slow as we start to roll forward. Maybe you notice you're stretching some of your back muscles now. Continuing to breathe and just noticing how this movement feels. Every single inch of movement, how it feels. And we're just tuning into our body here. As you plant the left hand and you can inhale, lift that right arm up to the sky. So now we're stretching that right side body. And rising back up. Gentle spine twist, left hand outside left hip, right hand to your left knee as you inhale, sitting tall, and then exhale, twisting over to your left. And as you're twisting, making sure that you're not kinking or really pulling that neck or shoulders. Your head's only turning as far as your shoulders are, and we're only twisting a little deeper with each exhale. So as we inhale, sitting tall, and exhale, twisting deeper. Inhale, sitting tall. And exhale, twisting deeper. One more time. Inhale, sitting tall. And exhale, twisting deeper. Coming back to center. Other side. So right hand outside right hip. Left hand to the right knee. Inhale, sitting tall. And exhale, twisting to your right. Inhale, sitting tall. And exhale, twisting a little deeper. Inhale, lift and lengthen. And exhale, twisting. We'll do it one more time. Inhale, lifting. And exhale, twisting. Coming back to center. So grabbing the wrist behind the back. As you inhale, the chin and chest up. Feeling that stretch in the front of the throat as you open up the heart, the throat. And then releasing the hands. You can walk your hands out in front of you as you work to tent the fingers first. So we're working to really lengthen the spine here rather than pulling our head and chest to the ground quite yet. So as we reach forward, tenting the fingers, shoulders away from ears, and we're reaching forward with the arms, and then we're reaching back with the sits bones. So you might feel this stretch in your hips and your glutes, your lower back. Taking one more breath. And then exhale, rounding the spine. You can drop your arms, your head and chest towards the ground, towards your shins. Dropping the chin to the chest too, feeling that stretch behind on the back side of your neck. Breathing into every inch of your spine. Creating space. Taking one more breath. And when you're ready, you can come back up. So noticing which leg was out in front. For me, it was my left. And then we'll take the right and bring it up and over. And do the same thing. So grabbing the wrist behind your back as you inhale, the chin and chest, opening the heart. And then release releasing the hands, walking them out. Again, pausing to tent the fingers briefly as we roll the shoulders back down, away from the ears. Reaching fingertips long and sits bones back behind us. Long spine, creating space. On your next inhale, reaching, lifting, and then exhale, fold, releasing the arms, the head, the chest to the ground, chin to chest, feeling that stretch behind your neck. And then rising back up. And we'll come to all fours. So coming forward to all fours, do some cat-cow to loosen up the spine. So starting from the ground up, making sure we have a firm base, always spreading wide in your fingers, pressing the palms into the ground, knees under hips. A firm base as we lengthen the spine long too. So shoulders are away from ears, and as you're pressing into the ground with the palms, your shoulders are back and down, so you're really feeling this long spine from the top of your head all the way back through your tailbone. And so keeping that in mind as we start to move the spine here. So come into cat-cow as you rotate your pelvis down, your belly button towards the ground, as you reach your chest forward, wide across the collarbones, shoulders back and down your spine, and gaze is slightly upward. And then as you exhale, rolling the spine, rounding the back, as you pull the navel up and in, and your gaze is now back towards your belly button. So your gaze is back towards your belly button, chin to chest, feeling that stretch behind the neck, and as you're pressing your palms into the ground, you're separating your shoulder blades on your back. And we'll do that a few more times. You can even move at your own breath. So dropping the belly wide across the collarbones. Inhale, looking up. And exhale, rounding the spine, pulling the navel up and in, chin to chest. Inhale, dropping the belly, looking up. And exhale, rounding the spine, chin to chest. Taking one more full breath. And coming back to a neutral spine. Taking a moment to just wiggle out the spine. So start to roll your hips and your shoulders and your head around clockwise, counterclockwise. Maybe you start to open it up to some bigger circles, just loosening up the hips and the spine and the shoulders, moving fluid or whatever feels good for you. Don't worry about what you look like. We're just loosening up the spine, right? Get the body moving, creating space. Creating space so some new awesome things can come our way in 2017. And when you're ready, you can come back up to all fours, and then bringing your big toes together, knees nice and wide as you press the hips back and down, releasing your chest and forehead to the ground, arms out in front of you, coming to child's pose. As you breathe, taking a few deep breaths in your lower back and back body. Filling the back of the ribs, back of the lungs with fresh air, fresh oxygen. And starting to rise back up, we'll come to puppy pose. So taking 2 blocks if you have them, you don't need them, but I'll show you what it looks like with the blocks first, is you will take your forearms and your elbows onto the block, grabbing onto your palms as you reach back with your knees under your hips, and then dropping your head and chest to the ground. If you don't have a block or blocks, no problem. I actually kind of like this way better. Is you just, again, knees under hips, and then reaching your forehead, maybe even your chin a little bit, with your arms to the ground, just creating some space. And maybe you're here, that's fine, but I really want you to try to feel this stretch in that front body. We'll take a few more breaths here. And then rising back up. And again, just pushing back to child's pose. Maybe you feel a difference already, just how the first one and the second one compare, just with that bigger heart opener there. And then rising back up, flipping the toes under, we'll press back to downward facing dog. So first downward facing dog of today. Just, this is called walking the dog. So bending opposite knees, stretching the calves here, maybe rocking your hips side to side. Just noticing how that feels. You're spreading wide across all 10 fingers, shoulders, relax from your ears, and don't worry about straightening the legs here. Bending the knees is a better practice, especially if you're starting out, just as you're working to get a long spine here. And we'll take one more breath, and then bending the knees, pressing back to child's pose once again. And then looking forward, rolling the chest forward, coming onto our bellies. We'll come to Sphinx pose. So you can place your palms under your shoulders, hugging the elbows in with legs nice and long. And so with the elbows hugging in, we'll focus on really lengthening through the spine here. And then the way I like to get into this is as I slide my arms forward, I start to roll up in my spine and up in my upper body. So placing your palms and forearms down on the ground, again, fingers spread nice and wide. And as we're pressing into the ground with the palms, we're wide across the collarbones, reaching the chest forward. The chin maybe is parallel to the ground. Breathing. This is a good stretch in the front body and a back bend here. Taking one more breath. And then releasing down to the ground. Pressing back to child's pose. And then back to down dog. Taking one more breath. And then looking forward in between the hands, walking the feet up in between the hands, taking your time. And then we'll inhale, halfway lift. Long spine, exhale, forward fold. You can grab opposite elbows as you relax your head, shaking it out, yes and no. Maybe swinging the hips side to side, and also noticing if you're sinking your weight back into your heels, you can rock forward and back, and bending your knees here is also an option. In fact, you can bend your knees a lot, resting your chest on your thighs. That'll take some of the pressure off your lower back. Taking one more breath.
And then releasing your arms with a slight bend in the knee. We'll ragdoll, taking our time, rolling up one vertebrae at a time. No rush. And as I'm rolling here, I'm just noticing how my spine feels as I stack one vertebrae on top of another as I rise all the way up to standing pose Tadasana. Rolling the shoulders up and back. You can inhale, reach your arms up, grabbing onto your right wrist. As you inhale, reaching up and then leaning over to the left slightly. And we're grounding through that right heel, right hip. Maybe the heart is slightly up towards the sky. Inhale, coming back to center, switching arms. And over to the right. Feeling that stretch in the left side body. Grounding through that left foot, heart up to the sky. Inhale, back to center and releasing your arms. As you inhale, lifting up to the sky. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, stepping that right foot back, dropping the back knee as you inhale, lifting up. And we're leaning into that right hip. If this hurts your right knee being on the ground, you can always prop a blanket up underneath here. I like to kind of bounce up and down, stretching that right hip, just warming it up and making sure that left knee is staying over the left ankle. It's not passing, going too far forward. And if it is, just slide that left foot out a little bit. So continuing to breathe, and as we stretch here, our arms are reaching up to the sky with a slight back bend, feeling as if someone were pulling you up from the rib cage. Really lifted here in this pose. Taking one more breath. And then planting the hands, flipping the back toes up, stepping that left foot back, coming to plank. And then taking your time, lowering all the way down to the ground. Flipping the toes so the tops of the toes are on the ground, palms under the shoulders, hugging the elbows in. As you inhale, peeling up low cobra, so lifting the chin and the chest. As you press into the palms, pressing back and down with the shoulders. And then releasing down to the ground. You can either flip the toes, coming up to plank, and then push back to down dog, or you can push back to child's pose for a breath, and then lifting the hips up and back, down dog. So taking 2 breaths here. And then looking forward, again walking the feet up in between the hands. As you inhale, halfway lift. And then exhale, forward fold. Again, staying here for a few breaths. Stretching out the legs, maybe everything. In this pose, I always feel like every muscle in the back of my body is being stretched here. So when I'm running a lot, this pose is particularly difficult and my body's not as flexible, but that's why you practice, right? That's why you stretch a little bit every day, warm it up, and then I don't feel the tension as much. So we'll take one more breath here. And then with a slight bend in the knees, ragdoll again, rolling up, one vertebrae at a time. Again, no rush. Rolling the shoulders up and back. This time grabbing the wrists behind your back.
As you lift the chin and chest, inhale, opening the heart. And then releasing the palms. As you inhale, reaching up. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, this time stepping that left foot back, dropping the left knee as you rise up to low lunge on this side. So again, really leaning into that left hip, using a blanket under that knee if it's giving you any troubles. And as you rise up, we're lifting from the rib cage up with a slight back bend. Take it, one more breath. And then releasing your hands to the mat, flipping the back toes, stepping back with that right foot, coming to plank. Pausing here for a breath as you reach long through the top of the head, and then lowering all the way down to the mat. Coming to low cobra again, so your toes, the tops of your feet are on the ground and palms under the shoulders, hugging the elbows in. Inhale, lifting the head, the chin, the chest. Shoulders are back and down, palms are pressing into the ground, pulling back wide across the collarbones. And then releasing all the way down to the ground. Yogi's choice. Push back to down dog through child's pose or up to plank. Lifting the hips up and back. We'll meet in down dog here and take 3 breaths. And then bending the knees. You can bring the legs out in front of you. We'll come to boat. So with the legs out in front, first give them a hug into your chest. We'll start here. We'll start to roll back and forth a little bit. A nice back massage. And then stopping up at the top. So pausing here, start to lift your legs so they're parallel. Your shins are parallel to the ground, and then lifting up through the heart. So long spine, trying to find that sweet spot. And bring the arms out in front if you can, or you can hold on to the back of your legs. Really breathing, just engaging the abs, lifting the heart. Taking one more breath. And then hugging the knees back into your chest, rolling down the back, on your back, and then lengthening the legs out in front of you. You can hug the right knee into your chest and start to wiggle it left to right, opening up that right hip, feeling that stretch, maybe pulling it up towards your shoulder, really opening that hip there, creating some space. And then grabbing that right knee with your left hand, your right arm out to the side. You can twist that leg or drape that right leg over across your body for a gentle spine twist with the gaze over that right shoulder. Taking another breath. And then hugging that knee back into center and releasing it down. Switching sides. Hugging that left knee in. Again, maybe wiggling it side to side, creating some space here. You can pull it up towards your left shoulder, really creating space. And then grabbing onto that knee with your right hand, left arm out to the side, draping that knee across your body. Gaze over the left shoulder and taking a few breaths. Again, paying attention to the feelings, the experiences you're experiencing in these poses. And then bringing that knee back into center and straightening it long. Coming to final Shavasana. So for final Shavasana, just legs long, drop the feet away from each other, arms down by your side, palms to the sky. Take a deep inhale through your nose. Exhale out your mouth. And for the next minute or so, just continuing to breathe, and with each exhale, allowing yourself to melt a little bit more into your mat. If you'd like to take a longer or shorter Shavasana, you can always pause the video and do as you please. Otherwise, stick with me and I'll bring us up to finish class in about a minute. Slowly start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Reaching your arms up overhead, stretching from your fingertips to the tips of your toes. And then slowly rolling onto your right side and pausing there for a breath before making your way up to a nice comfortable seated position. Closing your eyes here. Take a deep breath. Inhale through your nose. Exhale out your mouth. Inhale, reaching your arms up. Exhale, hands to heart. I always close practice with a moment of gratitude, thinking of one thing you're grateful for and holding it in your heart. Thank you for practicing with me. Namaste. Congratulations, you just finished day 1 of the 30-day challenge. I hope your body feels a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more loose, stretched out, some mental clarity as well, you know, some of the benefits of yoga. So if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up down below. And if you have any questions or comments about any of the poses or the sequences in general, definitely leave them down below and I'll get to them as soon as I can. If you have any friends or family that you think would love this challenge, pass it along. They can start with us tomorrow for day 2 or start from day 1 on their own time, whatever works. But I'm so happy you're here. Congratulations again. 1 day down, 29 to go. Let's go. Day 2. I'll see you tomorrow.